Hey everyone, Ali here. Today we're looking at West Africa, the Caribbean, and the ties binding them. At the end of July 2025, the African Export-Import Bank, Afreximbank, is hosting the Afro-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum, ACTIF 2025, in Grenada. This event aims to jumpstart about €2 billion in new trade and investment deals between Africa and the Caribbean. It's big news because despite deep historical and cultural links, Africa and the Caribbean currently trade less than 1% of their exports with each other. That means there's massive untapped potential. Think of the Caribbean and West Africa as long-lost cousins reconnecting. Even the African Union calls the global African diaspora the continent's sixth region. And many CARICOM countries have formally joined Afreximbank to deepen these ties. By April 2024, 11 of 15 CARICOM nations had signed on as members of Afreximbank. Afreximbank's new Caribbean Trade Center in Barbados will serve as a permanent gateway between Africa and CARICOM. Policymakers from both sides see an opportunity to write a new chapter in Atlantic trade. Last year's forum, hosted in the Bahamas, already generated 15-plus deals worth over $4 billion. This year, stakeholders include heads of state, CEOs, diaspora investors, and people like you and me watching from home. The key sectors? Think beyond just oil or minerals. We're talking agribusiness, logistics, tourism, and energy, among others. For example, Jamaican and Barbadian companies are eyeing capital from African pension funds via cross-listings or bonds. And African gas producers are starting to pitch their cleaner natural gas to Caribbean islands desperate to replace diesel generators. If these ideas work, cargo that now usually stops in U.S. hubs, like Miami, could take a more direct route between Africa and the Caribbean, shaving days off deliveries. But first, they'll need to solve some shared headaches. Africa and the Caribbean look different on a map, but they share very similar economic pain points. Consider expensive foreign exchange and remittances. Sending money across borders is slow and costly. In fact, World Bank data show banks charge nearly 12% on average to send a $200 remittance. That's insane if you're a small business or migrant worker wiring home. The traditional correspondent banking route, often via New York or London, is the culprit. Inefficient logistics and ports. Many Caribbean ports are outdated, customs are slow, and costs are high. A recent analysis notes that Caribbean shipping rates can run 3 times higher than on major Pacific routes, largely because ships often return north empty and infrastructure is limited. In short, getting a container from Lagos to Kingston today usually means routing through Panama or Miami and a lot of paperwork. Dependence on U.S./Chinese shipping lanes. Put simply, most cargo transits through major shipping lines and hubs dominated by U.S. or Chinese carriers. That global duopoly gives very little bargaining power to smaller Caribbean or African shippers. If something disrupts a U.S. port, like a strike, it could grind trade to a halt on both ends of the Atlantic. These issues mean Africa-Caribbean trade is small and slow right now. But technology and new partnerships are poised to change that. Afreximbank's big solution here is a system called PAPSS, Pan-African Payment and Settlement System. PAPS is essentially a real-time cross-border payment network that lets businesses in different countries settle invoices in local currency instantly. It was built for the African Continental Free Trade Area, but now it's going global. Think of it as Swift on fast forward. By bypassing New York/Visa rails, PAPSS can eliminate costly correspondent fees and exchange delays. This isn't just theory. PAPSS is already living in much of West Africa and gaining traction. In October 2023, all 11 Caribbean central banks officially adopted PAPSS for regional trade. They recognized that by streamlining and expediting the settlement process, PAPSS will eliminate the complexities and inefficiencies that often hinder intraregional trade. Afreximbank President Benedict Orama celebrated this as a victory for his diaspora strategy, noting it vindicates Afreximbank's efforts to promote and enhance trade between Africa and the Caribbean. So imagine a Cape Coast cocoa exporter paying a Port of Spain hotelier in Trinidad instantly through PAPSS, in Ghanaian cedi or Trinidadian dollars, without extra FX headaches. That's the promise. It means small businesses and migrants can send money home or pay suppliers on the other side of the Atlantic in seconds. And it undercuts the traditional banks. By World Bank counts, bank-to-bank remittances ran around 11.8% as of late 2022. Fintech startups plugging into PAPSS could eat that lunch by offering cheap apps or APIs for instant transfer. In practice, fintech players will be crucial. Startups in both regions are now racing to hook into PAPSS. Imagine a Ghanaian mobile money platform letting you send Naira or Cedi directly to a Jamaican mobile wallet with one tap and no New York-based fee. Or a Barbados-based crypto exchange using PAPSS rails to deposit funds into Nigerian bank accounts. Each new fintech integration makes correspondent banks, and their red tape and 12% fees, less relevant. If you're an investor, this is a signal for growth. Think of PAPSS adoption like an indicator light. If transaction volume on the PAPSS network explodes after the Grenada Forum or any Afro-Caribbean deal, that's a green light that trade is really flowing. If it sputters, well, signals a false start. Keep your stakes small and watch the usage metrics. Number of transfers, fiat volume, new bank sign-ons. For retail investors, there's no easy Caribbean-Africa ETF. You might have to pick stocks or bonds directly. Caribbean markets are tiny. Together, they barely register in global frontier indices. Some concrete ideas would be, for example, conglomerates with subsidiaries in other Caribbean with energy, distribution, and retail across the region. Or financial and consumer groups with fintech and intention to go global. Afreximbank diaspora bonds. Afreximbank itself issues bonds marketed to Africans and Caribbeans abroad. If you can buy one, it directly funds trade finance with a decent yield. Yes, these markets are illiquid. Price swings can be violent when they do move. Treat any position like a tiny venture bet. Do your homework on balance sheets and growth plans. But handle volatility wisely, so start small. For guidance, keep an eye on the forum's outcomes and then on the actual flow of money. If PAPSS volumes soar post-forum, that's your cue to lean in a bit. Conversely, if nothing changes, maybe the deals stay on paper. It's fine to pull back and preserve capital for the next opportunity. Africa and the Caribbean have always shared history. Now they're starting to share infrastructure and markets. The €2 billion figure might seem niche, but it signals a broader trend. Global Africa, where continent, diaspora, and allied regions like CARICOM all trade directly with each other. This forum and PAPSS are key building blocks. So what should you do? Educate yourself. Read the active 2025 press releases. Track fintech players bridging continents. And remember, if you invest, size it small and treat it like emerging market venture capital. Alright, that's a wrap for today. If you found this helpful, share it with a friend or leave a review. And don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter, the link is in the description.